G'day and welcome to the Fair Dunkem podcast, an NBA podcast by Aussies for Aussies. I'm joined here today. It was supposed to be by two people, but one of them decided to get sick last night at work, which is very rude and very inconsiderate of my podcast. I think it's absolutely terrible. Why would he ever do that? But it's all good. We don't need him. We've got the better half. We've got the better half of who was coming in today. We've got a good mate of mine. He's a Boston diehard. He's been on the podcast before. I discussed last time how he introduced me to these fantastic. Oh, I'm not sure whether I discussed it last time, but we went to uni together. And there was this awesome Italian sandwich place, and he showed me what to get. They were fantastic. Taught me that my favorite Italian drink is pronounced chinotto and not shanotto. And then right after I discussed how he taught me better pronunciation, I mispronounced his name 4 seconds later. But this time, I'm going to get it right. I'm going to get it right the first time. Please welcome my very good mate, Dan Mazzaglia. Dan, did I get it right this time?
Absolutely nailed it. Absolutely nailed
Biggest win of the podcast thus far.
Sensational. Well done, mate.
Thank
and how
you.
are you this morning?
Very good. It is just for a bit of context for the podcast, it's about 8 a.m. on Friday morning in Melbourne. So there's two games are about to happen today. I know it's only two games because I just set up my fantasy team for the day and I had three players playing and I freaked out that I had no one from today's slate of games, but it's just because there is no games today. But yes, doing very well. It's early. I woke up about 30 minutes ago, so I'm still waking up, but I think we're doing pretty well. And there's no better way to wake up other than chatting NBA, I say. How about yourself?
Well, that's it, mate. If you have to get up for something, let's chat ball. Let's chat some ball on a Friday. Absolutely. Mate, it's been a great start to the season, and we'll get stuck into it in a tick, mate. But only a couple of games on today, which is a bit
of a shame.
But no, it'll be good. It'll be good.
It's always the worst feeling because, with uni, I'd have, one day off a week sort of thing. And, you get to your Thursday and you get all excited. I've got work's only at night. I've got the whole day. And you check the schedule. It's you got, two games. And it's you got, Magic Pistons and then, Hawks. Heat. So it's oh, come on, man. Where's our 12 games, Celtics, Sixers? We got that yesterday, though. That was a good game.
We had a ripper day yesterday for ball.
You guys were flying yesterday.
Well, I was a little bit concerned with the outs in Jaylen Brown, obviously, and Kristaps, but the Celtics certainly held their own, and really, really happy with what Al Horford did with Embiid as well. I thought
I was
quite masterful in the end, actually.
It was an impressive game. I watched that game yesterday. That was the game I went for in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just looking at the stats here because, I was so excited. Boston, Philly. Yep, I'm going to watch this game. So excited. Then I turned on the broadcast and who was it that was in? It was Porzingis and JB, wasn't it? That were out.
Yeah, correct.
And I think we discussed this last time you were on the podcast, was with Boston, and they had the best top six in the league. But the issue is you're 2 injuries away from Sam Hauser starting. And that's literally what happened yesterday, was Sam Hauser played 35 minutes of basketball in a ESPN primetime game against the one seed in the East. But you guys won, and you played well. And
we did.
Tatum was amazing. Derrick White had a fantastic game, 27 points, 9 of 10 free throws. He was great. Everyone looked good. Al Horford, as you said, did about as well as anyone can ever do against Joel Embiid. Sort of then kept him to 20 points. There's some players where it's he had a quiet game. It's yeah, he did 20 points. You're not going to be able to stop Embiid from getting 20, but if you can stop him from getting 30, that's as good as anyone can do, basically.
I'm taking Embiid for 20 points. Don't worry about that. If that's all he scores, I'm absolutely wrapped with that, because when you look at Philly at the minute, I think they're actually quite a good side now without Harden out of the picture. You look at what Maxey is doing. But if Embiid's going to have 20, then obviously Maxey needs to have a little bit more to offset that a little bit. And, it didn't really happen yesterday. Boston plays a terrific defense and then hit the shots when it mattered. So Derrick White in particular, he was just unbelievable, as you said.
Particularly in that second half, I thought he was phenomenal. When I was watching, he was just
instrumental.
He really was.
And Tatum still did all this stuff, and Drew Holiday started quite well as well. So, they're all playing their part, Joe, which is fantastic to see.
Derrick White, he's the ultimate glue guy. I feel like he's that player that anyone on any championship team would want Derrick White right now. That's how I used to feel with the Lakers. I used to feel like that with KCP. It was there was never a game where I didn't want KCP on my team because he plays good defense and he hits threes. He doesn't take the ball away. I feel like Derrick White's like that, but even better. Like a better ball handler, a better shot creator. That you never don't want a Derrick White on your team.
Oh, look, I was shattered when he was out for personal reasons when he was having a baby, So come back, don't leave. So no, he's been amazing. He's been amazing, and he just looks tougher. As I said on the last podcast together, that with his shaved head, he just balls out. He's so good.
He's done the Kobe, Kobe and the MJ. He's gone to his next phase. It's fantastic to
go to the same barber. That'll be right.
Oh, you guys are looking good. Boston's looking legit, I reckon.
Look, dude, I'm not getting excited. I mean, I am excited, but we've seen what's happened in the last couple of years. We've dominated in the regular season. We just need to get over the line this time, honestly.
I think there's something about that big six, the way they're clicking together, that if you guys can stay healthy, I think KP particularly has been the biggest surprise for me for Boston. I thought he'd be good, but I thought he could be a bit of like he becomes annoying because he just like takes a bunch of threes and there's games where you're like, no, just get in the paint, or no, just leave it for the Jays. But his defense and his like just shooting and playmaking all season, I think he's been a massive win for you guys.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Again, yeah, like you said, with all the shooting that perhaps Rob Will wasn't able to do, obviously, when he was playing in the fives. So really great fit for what Boston are trying to do. And Drew Holiday as well. He's just absolutely running the show. He's so tough. He's so strong. He just doesn't get bothered when he drives in. It's just, I love it. And I love Marcus Smart. He was always my guy as a PG, but Drew is just that next little bit level.
I feel like with Holiday, this is a perfect fit for him because in Milwaukee, on offense, he was being asked to do what he's not. Like, he's an okay shooter, but the best thing about him is he can drive and he can finish strong and use his strength and stuff. In Milwaukee, they're like, hey, we need you just to be able to shoot threes when Giannis drives. Boston, like, hey, can you drive and attack the paint, which allows the Jays and stuff to take their threes. Like, you really, he's allowed to do what he thrives at in Boston, I feel like.
Yep. No, absolutely. There was too much reliance for the scoring on the Bucks side, particularly when Middleton was out for a lot of the season in big chunks. So, yeah, I mean, Holiday can obviously, as you said, drive in and finish because he's strong, or if he wants to kick out to an abundance of perimeter shooters.
He's got it.
Including Hauser, who's absolutely dismantling the three.
I'm loving Sam Hauser.
Oh, my goodness. I just love the arc in the shot. It just takes forever to get to the hoop. So you just wait and you keep waiting. And then, it goes in and it's like, oh, that's beautiful. So, yeah, keep doing that.
Oh. Well, we should get into the episode. I say this every episode. We've got a whole lot to talk about. I was saying last week, I said the danger of doing a weekly NBA pod is that there's like 50 games between every episode. So like 1,001 things can happen from episode to episode. So like I need to like at the start when I started, like, will weekly be too regular? Will I run out of content? Nope. There's yet to be a week where I haven't had to drop like half of what I had in my rundown in the episode because there's too much to talk about.
There's plenty happening, Jay. Don't worry about that.
Well, today we're going to take a bit of it all from the season, and we are doing our early season overreactions. It's an episode I looked forward to very much when I first decided to do the podcast. There's a few episodes when I first had the idea for the podcast. There was the preseason predictions, which I did with Sam. They were a lot of fun. And my early season overreactions. There were 2 episodes where I was like, I have to get those in. They're the episodes that every NBA podcast ever does. And we're going to be doing it today. So I've come up with 6 things, I think 6 or 7 things. I think Dan has one as well, where basically they're just doing exactly what they're saying. They're overreacting to early season content or early season basketball to create content that people can fight about in the comments on YouTube and get me views. And I'm fine with it because that's what we all do. So it's going to be fantastic. And because I love listening to it and I love chatting about it. And I wanted to do it this week. I considered doing it like last week or the week before, but I'm like, no, I want to give it enough time after the actual into the season. Because like we're about 4 weeks in now to the season, roughly. So there's been a decent amount of basketball that has played out before us. So like it's not a heap, but it's enough that actually the things that were trends after the first 2 weeks. Some of them have died off, but some of them have continued. So I have a bit more confidence now, like, oh, maybe that actually is a thing at this point. So you ready to get going?
Let's do it, mate.
Let's do it. Well, you know what? We're discussing them a little bit before. We're talking a bit about Philly. So let's start with the Philly one. And I should make it clear, not all these are actually what I think. A couple of them are. A couple of them are more on the fence. I will be reacting to these as well. These are just more ones I've taken off of what I've seen on Twitter and Instagram and Reddit and things I've read from the overall NBA is thinking this. So I'll also be giving my opinions on whether or not I buy in on this. Not every single one of these is my opinion. If so, I'm the biggest overreactor in the world. If I'm buying every single one. So we'll start with number one. Philly will finally break the second round exit curse and be led by all NBA point guard Tyrese Maxey. Are you buying that or not? You're buying it?
Yeah, I'll buy it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll buy it. They definitely need to get past the second round. Okay. Been close a few times, obviously. Yes. The short answer is yes. Maxey's absolutely balling out. He has just been given the reins with Harden gone. It's just, you run the point, work with Embiid, you boys do whatever you like. And it's showing quite nicely at the moment what the results are. So, yes. I'm saying yes.
I'm honestly... Okay, well, you're saying Maxey's doing well. That is an understatement. He is averaging this year 28 points. Well, this was on, I think, Wednesday. I wrote these notes, so it doesn't include yesterday's game, so they might drop a little bit. But he's averaging 28 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists. 50% from the field, 43% from three, 93% from the line. That's dropped a little bit because of yesterday's game. And also on 1 turnover a game as well. He had a 7-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. He is just, like, I knew he would be good, but I saw it as like, oh, can he be a filler point guard while they wait for whoever they get from the Harden trade? No, he's just become an elite point guard.
He's the it man.
He is it. He dropped 50 the other day. Who was it on when he dropped 50? I forget. Was it?
The Pacers.
Was my Pacers. Oh, the Pacers are like my second team at the moment. So that your boys decided to drop 150 on them, and then Maxey's dropped 50 himself, and neither of them, they've both been quite disappointing, but they're doing well. But I actually think I might be buying this as well, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
I think the Philly... So, will they break the second round exit? The thing you have to think is like, okay, that means they probably have to beat one of Boston or Milwaukee to get there, realistically. Unless the schedule breaks where like Milwaukee end up like the 4 seed, Boston are the 1 seed, or Philly can get to the 1 seed. That's probably their best bet, is to get to the 1 seed and hope Milwaukee and Boston have to take each other out in the semis if they actually want to get to the conference finals. But I'm not buying in on the Bucks. We'll actually discuss the Bucks a little bit later in another one. But I do think there's something there with Philly. They've got Tyrese Maxey's balling, Embiid's balling, and I actually think I was listening to a podcast or interview somewhere the other day, and they're saying that the guys they brought in for Harden, they're not bums. Like Batum, Covington, Morris, these guys can actually play, and they're getting meaningful minutes and playing genuinely big roles for them. Like, it's actually sort of worked thus far, this idea of, hey, we've got Maxey and Embiid at the point guard in the center. There are 2 go, and then we're just going to put a bunch of 3-and-D wings in between that, whether it's Melton or Harris or Covington or Oubre or Batum or Morris. Like, we just got all these 3-and-D wings, and we'll just fill out the roster with those guys. And they've still got like 3 or 4 picks that they got from Harden and from other things that they can trade now as well. They've got the Harris contract if they want to. Like,
they're in good shape, Jay. They are in good shape. It's funny what happens when you get rid of cancer, basically.
Literally.
And that's what James Harden is. You can paint it up however you want. He's an absolute shocker. So for him to go, and then for Covington and obviously Batum to come in the other way, D'Anthony Melton's going gangbusters. His form for shooting, it looks like it's changed. Like it's a drastic change. He's absolutely nailing everything. Tobias Harris is going to have a contract year by the looks of it.
He's playing fantastic at the moment. As that third guy, I was just looking up his stats now. 19 points per game, 56% from the field, 36% from 3. 88% from the line, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Like, he's playing good defense. Like, he's really stepped up this year as that third guy.
He has. And Kelly Oubre too, when he gets back. I mean, he's actually started quite well. It's a bit of a shame about the accident.
That was sad, so sad.
Yeah.
That was the craziest. Like, because I woke up and I had like the tweet from Woj, and I see Kelly Oubre's photo. I'm like, oh, did he get traded or something? Like, they're like, no, he's been hit by a car. I'm like, that's. I genuinely had no words in the moment. I'm like, how? I never thought I'd see that tweet, but like, it was so sad for him because he was having a great season. Sad for Philly, sad for the fans, and just hope that he can get back quickly and back into the same form that he was in and not lose a step because he was looking amazing to start the year. And I really hope for his sake that he can get back.
He perfectly complements the Philly lineup, Kelly Oubre. It's seamless with him. I don't know how else to explain it. He's one of those players. I even felt that way when he was at the Warriors. I felt like for some reason he just sort of gelled in nicely and just really played his bit. And he's even doing that more so with Philly. And the accident is a shame, but hopefully, as you said, he gets back quite quickly. It's only, from the sounds of it, it's only a few broken ribs and whatnot.
Yes.
So,
it shouldn't be
maybe 2 or 3 or 4 weeks
hopefully.
at the most. So that's not a bad turnaround. But, Philly, they're balling out to me. They look fantastic. Except for when they play Boston. They don't know how to beat us.
They're looking really good. They are. I think I'm buying in on the fact that this could be legitimate. I think there's something real there with what I'm seeing in the success. And I think it looks sustainable. Like Maxey, you don't want to buy into a guy who's jumped up 8 points per game, 2 assists, dropped his turnovers, better efficiency, whatever. And for 12 games, be like, oh, he's just going to do it for the whole year. But we've already seen twice in his career where he's taken a leap. Like every year he's taken a leap and then sustained it for the entirety of that year. And then the next year, taken a leap again. So it's like, it's not out of the question to say, oh, it's not like saying like James Wiseman started the year averaging like 15 points per game and like looking really good. It's like, I'm going to need to see that for a bit longer because for 3 years you haven't done it. Maxey's done it. Every time he's been asked, he's taken a leap and sustained it. So I don't really have a reason not to believe he will again. And they're looking good, Philly. I think they're the 2 seed now. They're 8-3. They've lost their last couple, but they're looking really good. We talked about it a bit last time. Are they better off without Harden? Do you reckon?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, it's just the proof is in the pudding. They're just so much more enjoyable to watch.
They're faster.
Yeah, they fly. They're so zippy. Tyrese is one of the quickest players down the court. So you compare that to Harden, who just sort of trottles in and then plays a bit of ISO and then just puts it up and misses anyway. And it's frustrating to watch. So
it got
I hate the Sixers, mate, but they are looking good. They are very, very quick. Max is giving Embiid a lot of opportunity as well. They look so fluid. And again, Covington and Batum are no one to sneeze at.
No.
Decent pieces. Take it to the bank. They're in.
I think the setup is real. I think this Maxey, Embiid, and a bunch of 3-and-D wings, I think it can actually work. Mm-hmm. I'm buying in on it.
Who's managing it all? It's Nick Nurse.
Exactly. He's a great coach. I love him. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. And you got someone who, for all the hate he gets, in Daryl Morey, he knows what he's doing and makes good trades. And he put Harden in a place to succeed for years in Houston. He's doing it again. I trust him to make a trade if they need to as well. Like if they need to come the deadline. The one I saw a lot of recently is they're saying for Anunoby, OG Anunoby out in Toronto, because he's in a contract year, so it's like if they're not going to bring him back, and that would be the perfect third piece around these guys, because he plays that 3-and-D wing role just at a high level.
He certainly does. The other one I was reading on was Zach LaVine. There's a lot of whisper about him out of Chicago. That's another conversation for another day, but they need to blow up the Bulls. They need to start again. They really do. So
they're the saddest franchise at the moment, easily.
They're so bad. So if the Sixers maybe were able to get LaVine across the line as well, that'd be pretty neat. I keep reading about that.
The Bulls, well, apparently they're looking to pursue a trade with LaVine. LaVine wants it. The Bulls want it. I was reading earlier that they're both in on it. I think because I had it listed down as a couple of things to discuss. the Levine trade rumors are flying. The teams I said that I think should go after him. The Lakers, I think we're looking like we do need a third scorer. The Sixers were second on my list, and then I had the Heat and Raptors, depending on where they're at, sort of thing. I also saw apparently Indiana are showing a bit of interest in him. Which,
yeah, right.
If they're buying in on Halliburton, he wouldn't be a terrible person to play next to Halliburton, but
yeah, but I just think I think the paces are set.
They're good. I think
I
that Phillies
wouldn't add to it.
Don't trade the future just for a second round exit this year. You know, like let yourself get to the playoffs, see what you need, and then go from there. Build a bit of experience.
Yes. What do we lack perhaps in that period? That's exactly right.
Actually, do a bit of learning. You don't need to win it all this year. Don't trade it if you don't need to. We were discussing before Harden being a bit of a cancer, and I think that leads us on to the second one. My second overreaction is the Clippers will miss the NBA playoffs this year.
Fact.
You're buying it.
Absolutely. That is a basket case for the organisation. And our mate Flynn, he'd hate me saying it, but they are in all sorts. The thing
it's not good.
This is the organisation summed up for me. Is that you bring in Harden and then someone like Bones Highland's not even in the rotation anymore, who I think can absolutely ball out. So that's just one decision amongst an array of a lot of others that just suggest they're not going to get it done. They're just not. They're all playing together now, but at some point, Kawhi and PG and the rest, someone's going to go down. And you're going to go from a big four to a big three, and they're going to be worse. So
it's an ugly situation. I've watched some of the games, and it's so stagnant. It's so slow. There's obviously there's no chemistry, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And this is one of the things that I think people don't realize, like, this isn't 2K, you know? If you trade for a player mid-season, they're going to have to build chemistry. Like, chemistry is a legitimate thing in the NBA. Like, I think when I used to play basketball, like in a local league, like how different it was when you have your full team compared to having one fill-in. Because like we would often have to get a fill-in and stuff. Like, it made a world of difference in how you could actually play because you don't know where everyone's going to be. You don't know what everyone's doing.
Yep.
Obviously,
and the tendencies, exactly, yeah.
Obviously, these guys know each other a bit better than I do, a random dude who goes to a mate's school 3 years ago sort of thing. But like, there's still a point where you're going to need to build chemistry. And the fact that the Clippers couldn't get this trade done in like September and give themselves a month of training camp together, I think could loom large because suddenly you've got a month of the season you're going to have to be doing that over. And if you're losing games in the West is so competitive. Like, really, other than the Trailblazers, I don't think there's a team that's not going to be wanting to win to start off a little bit in the season. So I think they eventually get in just purely due to the fact that I don't think they'll make it the top 8, but I could see them being in the play-in. And I think come the play-in, they'll just play Kawhi 45 minutes, and I could see him just taking it. If Kawhi just needs to take over for a game of the play-in or 2 games of the play-in, I could see them sneaking into the playoffs through the play-in. But I'm not buying that this could actually be a championship contender, this team, in any sense.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This will last 1 or 2 years, if that. Aren't they all free agents this year anyway?
Kawhi, PG, and Harden are all free agents. So it really had to work out this year. And, you know,
it's about $100 million in space in the offseason.
It is.
When they can rebuild and start again because it's finished for them.
It is.
I'm being dramatic.
No, but it finished. Is. To be honest, like, I think they traded it all. Like, I do like the idea that, like, you don't just settle, you know, you don't just settle for being a first round exit. Like, I do like the all in idea of a Harden trade because it was like, at least I like the intent of like, hey, we're not going to die wondering. We're going to say, hey, this team isn't good enough to win. Let's see if we can make it good enough to win. This is our best bet. The issue I posed this to Flynn a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. I said, the issue could be that they trade for Harden early in the season. They trade all the picks and everything but Terrence Mann, which is what happened. So this is what I posed before the trade even went down. And I said, then even if they look good, say you get to like Feb and they're like 26-19, which would be a miracle from where they are now. They'd have to go like 23-8 for the next few games, like 30 games. But you like go like 26-19, 26-20, you get to like the trade deadline and you're looking good. You're like a top 3 seed in the West. Everyone's pretty healthy. It's looking okay. And then like a Zach LaVine or a DeMar DeRozan or Pascal Siakam or Brandon Ingram becomes available. There's not one of those guys that I wouldn't rather have on this team than Harden. And that's the issue is like the picks you traded, not only were they for Harden, they were the only picks you had left to trade for anyone else if they became available through the season. And I would have rather a guy like a Levine who can fit in along these guys. He's not just going to take the ball and dribble it 20 times and chuck up an air ball. Like having someone like a Levine or a DeRozan if he became available, or even like, Brandon Ingram or CJ McCollum if the Pelicans are looking to blow it up at any point. Like, I think I would rather any of those guys than a James Harden, just because he's so much easier to fit into a team with 2 all-stars already.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate organisations going all in and saying, you know what, we're going to give it a crack this year and whatever it will be. But don't let my bias for hate of James Harden getting away with this. I cannot see it. The more I watch him, the more I just dislike him, the more I think that the Clippers are just going to fail. That's just where I'm at. I cannot see them getting anything out of it.
It reminds me so much of when the Lakers traded for Westbrook. It's like the theory is there, but I just don't trust the player. And like with Westbrook, it was pretty clear when Westbrook was on the Lakers, he wasn't going to buy into being the third star. He wasn't going to buy into being a role player. Mm-hmm. And that was what the Lakers needed him to do, was buy into just being a passer and a cutter and a screener, and he wouldn't. And I think it's pretty clear that Harden's not doing the same. Like, he was an amazing player, but at some point, like, look at like someone like Dwight Howard. I think he's an incredible example. He was an MVP. Did he ever win MVP, or did he get skimmed?
No, he never won MVP.
He got robbed by D Rose, I think.
And he didn't get into the NBA 75.
No, he never got in. But like,
he's been stitched.
He was a great player. He was 3-time DPOY, could have been MVP, multiple-time All NBA. He comes to the Lakers in 2020, and it's just like, you know what? I'm just going to buy into being the best role man, a rebounder, a defender. Mm-hmm. And he was a crucial part of us winning the title in 2020, because we needed someone who would do that. He was such a crucial part. Westbrook, Harden, like, that's what they need them to be. It's like, hey, you know what? We're going to cut. Westbrook's finally doing it on the Clippers, and I'm happy to see that. He's finally actually setting screens and cutting and
Me too, man.
Playing some defense.
Too.
But like, it annoys the heck out of me that he decided to do it at the same arena, just in the wrong colors. But like, that was exactly what the Lakers needed him to do, but like, he wouldn't buy into it on the Lakers, and I don't see Harden buying into it on the Clippers. Is that he's not going to buy into not taking. Like, there was one the other day where I think it was PG, dribbled around, broke down the defense, kicks out to Harden in the corner. He has a wide open corner 3, and he stops, waits for the defender, and then takes a step back that gets blocked. And it's like, when you see that, you're like, I just can't trust these players to do anything.
No, he's the king of selfish, okay? And it's just not going to... The thing with Russell Westbrook, you got to give him credit. We went over to the Clippers. I think he accepted where he's at as a player as well.
That's it.
And
he finally accepted it.
Understood what the organisation needed, and is doing the role that they ask of him. James Harden will never do that.
No.
He is the system. Have you heard?
Oh.
Jay? He's the system.
I'm not a system player. I'm a system. Could you imagine being Ty Lue? Can you imagine being Ty Lue in that moment and just hearing like this player you've just traded for? Like, I'm 6 games into the season and I've just got a player who's come in and said, I'm not a system player, I'm the system. It's like, and now I have to coach him. Like I'd be there like pulling my hair out if I was Ty Lue.
Oh, it's so frustrating.
I'm not sure I buy into the fact that they'll miss the playoffs, but I do buy the fact that they're not going to go far if they make it. If they make it, they're not doing anything past the first round, I don't think. I don't buy this team. I just think that like they're only the 12th seed at the moment. I reckon they just have to get to 10, because I do think they can win a play-in game. Like, if they get into the play-in and they play like a Houston or a Sacramento or a Pelicans, like, I think they'll just win because they have the experience in the big moments. But if they then send them against a Denver or against a Golden State, and they're going to get smoked in 4.
Time will tell, mate. If they do get through the play-in, then they're getting absolutely smashed.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Next up, we have Cam Thomas will be an all-star this year. Are you buying it?
I'm buying a lot. I'm running out of money here, Jay. But I am absolutely buying.
You're buying this one on Afterpay.
Shooting a lot. Yeah, correct. I'm absolutely buying it on Afterpay, but he's lights out freak. Love what he's doing.
He is the craziest player in the league, I reckon, Cam Thomas. Just like watching him play. Cam Thomas is what Jordan Poole thinks he is. Like, he's got that, like, he's got the flair and the ability, but he actually does it.
Does it.
He's fantastic. He's
Nah, I'm buying.
He's off to an elite start. As of, I think it was Wednesday again, 26 points a game, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Doesn't pass the ball, but why do you when you're averaging 26 points? Decent enough efficiency, 47% from the field, 32% from 3, 85% from the line. I think he's out for one more week with an ankle injury as well. He's just got tweaked his ankle. To be honest, I'm kind of buying this. Because like he's done it, we've seen him do it before. He did it last year when he came into the starting lineup for like a week after the Kevin Durant trade. He came when there was like all the Durant was traded, Irving was traded. They had like no one, and he got to play 40 minutes. And he dropped like 40 2 games in a row last year, and now he's doing it again. My only concern with him being an all-star this year, I think he'll be an all-star at some point because he's got the scoring.
Oh, without question.
It's just like when you look at the other players in the East, because like you get 4 guards in the East and 2 spare spots that can go to any position, but like Tyrese Maxey's making it, like that's a certainty. I think Halliburton's making it, that's a certainty this year.
That is take it to the bank.
He's
averaging 30 and about 15.
He's been phenomenal. Like he absolutely has to make it,
and no turnovers. He doesn't turn the ball over.
He's up. The Pacers are probably, besides the Lakers, my favorite team to watch. They're so fast. They play no defense, but when they're like when Halliburton's got the ball,
that's exactly
do
right.
Wild
you
things.
Hit the nail on the head. They're trying to just outshoot everybody because they can't do much on the day.
And because they can do it.
They beat Philly, who'd scored about 125 points themselves. So it was just outlasting them on the offense.
When you got Buddy Hield and Tyrese Halliburton, there's sometimes a bit of reason behind just saying, hey, we're just going to outshoot our opponents.
And Miles Turner. I think
Turner.
He's balling out too.
He's having an amazing season.
Yeah, he's looking real good.
Bruce Brown's pretty good. I like Nembhard and Nason. Like, they've got some good players over there.
Yep,
but
correct.
Maxey's making it. Halliburton's making it. I think Dame's making it not necessarily because of play, but because he's Dame and he's going to get voted in by fans.
Yeah,
sort of thing. Like the name. That's 3.
Then
you got like Holiday, if he can make it. Jaylen Brown, but he can be named as a forward, I think, and a guard, so he might take a forward spot. So if you say like Holiday, Brunson, Garland, Mitchell, Cade Cunningham, Trae Young, LaMelo Ball, Tyler Hero. So there's a lot of good guards in the East. I think he'll be an all-star caliber player. The question is just whether he gets sort of done the dirty on by being a guard in the East in a time when there's 10 all-star guards in the East and only 5 or 6 can make it every year. Like that's the only reason he wouldn't.
And the Nets are potentially, playing just under 5 or over 500 ball.
Exactly. The Nets are sort of a boring team, so people don't want to watch them. Like people are going to be watching LaMelo Ball over the Nets, sort of thing. Like that might be their downfall a bit.
Correct.
I do think it's sort of like how CJ McCollum was never an all-star, but like he was an all-star who was not an all-star. Yeah, he was an all-star who never made it because he was in the same conference as Steph Curry, Damian Lillard, and Chris Paul. So it's like there was one spot available to him every year. It might be a bit of that. It's like Cam Thomas is playing like an all-star in the conference where there's Tyrese Maxey, Tyrese Halliburton, Damian Lillard, and Drew Holiday and Garland and Mitchell and these guys. Like I think Donovan Mitchell has to make it the way he's been playing. He's been fantastic for Cleveland.
Yep.
So
I think even just an out there one like Tyler Hero, I reckon he's actually going pretty nice.
He's having a great season for Miami.
Yeah.
I think he can make it. And then
it'll be on the standings, I think.
You got the Trae Youngs and LaMelos who are like, it doesn't matter how good they are, they've got their fans who are going to vote for them every day, so they're going to get their votes no matter what. Yep. I think eventually he will make it though. Like basically what I'm saying is I buy the scoring is there. Like I think he's closer to being like a Tyler Hero than he is to being like a Jordan Poole in terms of like I think he's actually I don't think it's just a good shots, bad team sort of situation. I don't think it's just like a bad team, big points. I think actually he can score. I think he's a good player who can actually score, and I think if he gets the opportunity, even on a good team, he'll be good sort of thing.
Yeah. Nah, I rate him big time.
It's not Jordan. Not Jordan Poole, and he's giving up an open layup to get blocked on a turnaround 3 by Kristaps.
Just silly things, and he tries to do these spin moves that are just not required.
Early, but that That clip of him walking backwards and then taking it through and getting blocked is still my favorite clip of the season thus far. I think it just summed up so perfectly the whole Washington Wizards franchise. They're running in for an open layup and then turn around and take that.
They're in dire straits over there in Wizardland.
They are. Someone
got fired already. What's going on?
They need to get Kyle Kuzma needs to get out of that place. Someone needs to save him because he's a decent player, I think. Yeah. And he is getting. And Tyus Jones does not deserve to be on the Washington Wizards.
You just go to Washington to die. That's what happens there.
Did you see Jordan Poole's quote the other day, where it was something along the lines of he's like, "Oh, I got my ring. I got my ring in my bag. So now I'm just gonna play for fun." Also, I went to Golden State. I got my ring, got the bag. Now I'm happy coming to Washington where I can just play basketball the way I want to and do what I want. And it's like. That's the moment where I find the coach I'm handing in the resignation when I'm hearing that's my player's mentality. It's like, oh, sweet, I don't need to win anymore. I can just have fun. That's exactly what you want to hear from your lead guard.
I thought he'd have a point to prove by going to the Wizards and saying, all right, well, I was in a pretty stacked team at the Warriors. I did get my ring, but now I'm going to prove to the world that I can do it all myself. And I think he's doing anything but that.
I think he says like, why should I care? I've got my bag, I've got my money, I got my ring. Now I just get I think he thinks he is a top 10 player in the league because like I feel like he bases it all off of Instagram highlights. Like he's like the 8-year-old NBA fans just who made it to the NBA without ever learning anything other than Instagram basketball and playing my league, playing my team. Like that's literally what I think Jordan Poole's number one goal in life is to have like a Galaxy Open My League card. And like that's actually all he's really aiming for at this point. Like that's all he needs.
And you can look back because hindsight's a wonderful thing as well, Jay. You can understand why probably Draymond had enough of him one day at practice and thought, I'll beat the line out of him.
I can't imagine him.
I'm going to deck this bloke. He's giving me the absolute.
I can't imagine him and Draymond would have similar personalities. I'm not going to lie. I dare say they might have different approaches to the game of basketball in their mentalities in some areas.
There's a box here for safe assumptions. We can put that one in there, mate. That is golden. Bang, bang.
I would have loved to have seen him on a team with Kobe. I think Poole would have been... he would have been shot after about two practices.
It's like that old video that resurfaces up once in a while with Kobe reacting to the Lakers, post-match when they're celebrating after losing the last 8, and he's just shaking his head. And, it's just not tolerable.
Literally. We'll move on. We'll sort of fire through these last couple ones. This one was meant when we were supposed to have Sam on the podcast. But he's not on because, again, he was very, very inconsiderate and decided to get sick when I wanted him on my podcast. But we're going to discuss
Non-COVID.
Exactly. He's out for personal reasons. He's done an Anthony Davis. He stubbed his toe and he's called it.
Oh, he's gone there with the AD.
Hey, it's the Lakers. I can do that. I can do it. No, but the overreaction is Anthony Edwards will finish the season as the best shooting guard in the league. I'm
on the fence. I'm on the fence.
I'm personally buying it, I think. I think I've seen something with Ant that's special. When I watch him play, I'm like, there's something to him. The way he can close games he reminds me of this year's Shea, I think is the best way I can put it. Like, he's a really good player that I think there's very few players I trust more than him in the clutch than Edwards at the moment. Like, last year, Shea was so good all year, and then it would be like, oh, there's 2 minutes left in a game. Just put the ball in his hand, and he's going to find a way to get a bucket somehow. And I kind of feel like that with Ant when I watch him play. And the athleticism's there. Obviously, that means he has to jump D-Book and D-Mitch, and that's probably the big question, if he can do that.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening. I mean, D-Book... I'm really torn on this one, Jay. Like, I want to give an appropriate response to this.
Yeah.
Ant's looking freakish.
He is.
D-Book, I don't know what sort of season he's going to have.
He's only played 3 games.
Yeah. So, And then Phoenix have their own issue, not an issue, but they need to find some chemistry between those three as well and actually get some game time together.
Yeah, a good way to start that would probably be having them all play at one time.
So
that might help at some point if you're wanting to build a bit of chemistry.
Correct. So let's tick that box and then we can perhaps reevaluate. But on current form, yeah, Ant-Man's doing everything. Like I watched him play the Celtics the other day and he absolutely finished us off. He was just so strong. And we play pretty good day. We've got good players that can actually defend, and he just smashed everybody.
Like, if I was to pick not just individual defenders, like Holiday, if I had to pick an individual defender to take him on, I'd probably pick Holiday. If I had to pick a team of 5 players to take him on, it would be Boston. And he still dropped like 10 on you in the last 2 minutes. And I saw that going into overtime, and like there was a point where I was watching that game that was when I wrote this. I was like, there's something really special about him that he can do. The big one probably is that the reason I wouldn't buy it is because if him and Devin Booker are neck and neck and they're even, I'm going to give the edge to Devin Booker because I've seen him do it in the playoffs and I've seen him do it for longer. So for him to be the best, in my opinion, he has to like really leap both him and Donovan Mitchell, because I've seen Donovan Mitchell and I've seen Devin Booker both do it in the playoffs. I've seen them both do it for 2 or 3 years. So that would be the only reason I don't buy it. But I genuinely think
that was where I was at too, being on the fence. It's like he's had a great sample size of these, 12, 13, 14 games, whatever it is. And he's looking unbelievable. But, how does the rest of the season pan out? How do the T-Wolves finish up? I mean, they're looking great.
They're the 3 seed. They're 8-3.
I know. Do they go this way now, or do they just keep going up? Like,
if they continue to win as well, that's probably another big one.
Of course.
Because if they stay a top 4 or 5 seed, then, I think he has every right, if he's not the best, to be in the same tier as Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell. But I think if they drop a little bit, he's averaging 26.5 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. That's been good to see as well. The passing's been better. 46% from the field, 37% from 3, 82% from the line. He's playing good basketball. And I do think that Devin Booker is a freak, though. Like, Devin Booker is a top 10 player in the NBA, in my opinion. So it's like, it's a big jump, or around 10. He'd be about 10 for me, Devin Booker, I think.
He's damn good.
He'd be on that, good. Like, he'd be in that, like, him, Anthony Davis, LeBron, like, Shea, like, those guys would all be in that sort of, like, probably 8 to 12 category. And I think Ant's almost up there, if he isn't already, for me. So.
Yeah,
I think so.
Look, time will tell. I'm on the fence, but I can see why he could be.
I think there's something there where I'm like, all I know is that, like, I'd pick him as one of the guys I'd build around. I saw someone tweeted the other day and they said they're like, there might be only one player under 25 that I would pick to build a team around over Ant now, and that'd be Wemby. And it was like, to be honest, like, there's not, like, other than Wemby or like Jokic or Giannis, I'm not sure how many guys I'd pick over Ant, because like I think he can be the number one on a title team in a year or two. Like, I think he can be that guy. So it's like, I think there's something there where I reckon they need to trade Cat as well. They need to.
Yeah,
they need to give
I think Cat's time in Mini's done, to be honest.
Give the keys to Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
And Naz Reid. Let Naz Reid Naz Reid go. Let him cook.
Yep.
He's averaging 13 points in 20 minutes a game.
I remember how much we laughed about the whole Cat Gobert. When he came across thinking this isn't going to work, and they're actually playing mad D. Like, the
defense is fantastic.
Clicking quite nicely in the net.
Jaden McDaniels, when he's not punching Klay Thompson, is a brilliant player.
Oof. That's a good little battle the other day with him and Klay.
That was quite interesting, wasn't it? That was well, let's quickly touch on that just for a minute. What were your thoughts when you saw that happen?
Look, what do you think about Dre's 5 games? Do you think that is fair? Is it too much? I personally think it might be too much.
Okay.
I'm thinking maybe 2 or 3 games. I think 5's a little bit heavy-handed, but you can mount an argument either way.
Yeah,
you're really good.
I'm on the other side. Honestly, I'm on the side of it could be almost too little. I think.
Real? Yeah.
I think there's a point where, because I went back and watched it when I saw it, I'm like, there was a scuffle going on between McDaniels and Klay, but what Draymond did, like I think they got incredibly lucky that it didn't get seriously out of hand when he did like what he did, like the choker hold he put Rudy in, like that was like that was
I mean, he flew across, didn't he?
It took a step beyond just being like two guys having an argument at the like about in game. And like I went back and I watched after it actually the Malice in the Palace, the Pistons fight and there was a lot of similarities to how it's like there was two guys in a fight and then someone just comes in and just takes a step over, and in that one he threw a punch, but in that one everyone just like tempers flew. And I think there's a point where the NBA, it's like the scuffling and like the arguments like between Clay and McDaniels. Yep, okay, send them out, fine them, whatever. That's two guys who are just playing tough. What Draymond did, that could have easily spanned into something really bad. Like if someone like saw their teammate in a choker hold, you could come in and like it could have. I think the NBA, it's good to send a message that like going to the point of actually like putting someone in a choker hold, because that can like escalate things to points where there's actual real damage done that you can't undo, sort of thing.
Look, I understand for the look of the game.
Yeah.
Okay. It's completely justified in giving him 5. Maybe I'm just a bit old school and I just like a bit of biffo still.
I think the NBA has gone soft, but I think there's a point where, like, I think Clay and McDaniel's like, yep, that's fine. Like, you're getting into a bit of a fight, whatever. Like, that's what I think. What he did, like, it seemed Draymond's like the way I could see it was like it almost felt like he was looking for an opportunity to as well. Like it felt like it was like it almost felt like he saw it as a chance. Like it's like whether he has something against Gobert or whatever, and it was like, okay, I'm just gonna. This is my chance to actually just do what I've wanted to do to Gobert for years. And like he was like, it felt like there was something underneath that wasn't just the Clay McDaniels fight. Like he came in with extra aggression added into it, sort of thing. And it's like,
Dre's got basically Red Hot Chili Peppers up his backside at the minute. He's just
really,
on fire.
He's in a bad mood.
He's just ready to belt everyone.
Yeah.
He's had 2 texts. Then that, he's on fire.
I think it's one where it's like I don't mind them going heavy-handed on something like that, because it's like the one I don't understand is they're going like giving out the text for the stare downs and stuff. That needs to get stuffed. Like
what is going on?
That is stupid.
With the text at the moment.
Like the one,
like you watch NBA and you want to see your best players, right? Put a bit of passion and flair into it, and a stare down is old school. Like
literally.
I think of that crazy dunk by Sean Kemp back in the day, right? And then he's doing one of these to the guy on the ground, and that's just become one of the greatest moments in NBA history, really, from a dunk point of view. Everybody loves it. If you did that now, that's a 3-game suspension.
Totally.
So, like, what's going on? The refs are just getting really involved.
I think that was way too much. That's way too much sort of thing. Like the Draymond one, I do understand that it's like, oh, that's actually like dangerous. Like if you have, particularly like you look in the NBA, like you've got big guys who are like someone could do something bad if they like. You don't want to let that become the norm that someone goes like a choker hold is what you actually go to in a fight, sort of thing. So I understand them trying to kick that out of it, sort of thing, in a sense where it's like you don't want that to become like what players go to, sort of thing. But
no, of course not. Of course not. But how often does it really happen?
That's it. As long as it doesn't, I think it would be one where if it happened again, it would probably be like a 10 game. Like if it was like if someone did it in like a week's time, it would be like, okay, we're stamping this out straight away before this becomes a trend. But if it's one off, fine him, show the league, nope, don't do this, or else it will be really bad for you. And as long as it doesn't, then everyone's fine. Like I think they need to let a bit more scuffle happen between the players. Do you see the one where Anthony Davis got attacked the other day against Santi Aldama?
No.
It was in the Lakers Memphis game. Memphis are down like 15. And Aldama gets the rebound. It comes and gives a big elbow to Davis in the chest. So Davis gives a push. It just flies backwards and like lays in the ground.
I did see it.
Like he's been killed.
Yes, I did see it.
Like I know I'm a Lakers bias fan, but I was like, it was the ultimate dive at the end of it. I don't know how he got a like. The refs are getting sucked in, mate. Big time. That's another conversation again. But did you the tech on Wemby the other day for just bouncing the ball is just complete stupidity. Okay. So they're losing their mind at the minute, the refs. There's way too much of this.
Fans are paying good money to go to the game. They want to see a bit of passion.
Totally.
A little bit of aggression. on the clean side.
Totally.
Don't tech. Don't be silly.
I think the stare down particularly, that's not a act of aggression. That's a, you've earned that. Like when Ant dunked on someone, there's one the other where Ant dunked on a dude and like he gave him a stare down for like a second. It's like he's earned that. Oh, there's one the other day in the Lakers game as well where Christian Wood got a tech for hanging on the rim because he took this massive dunk and he caught them and he was literally like half vertical, like he was like horizontal, and then he swung himself back to let go, and because there was someone underneath him, so he waited for the guy to get out from underneath him and then dropped down, and he got called for a tech. But like the only other two options was he broke his neck or landed on a player. Like there was literally,
I just don't understand.
There was no common sense to it at all.
Kristaps got a tech the other day for hanging on the rim for the exact same thing. He just wanted the path to be clear before he lands his 7'5" frame. He doesn't want to squash anybody. And
maybe
it's a tech.
It's like maybe technically it's too, like that's where common sense needs to prevail. It's like maybe technically it's too long or what their rule is, but it's like clearly he's not doing it as a celebration. He's doing it because he's looking and waiting for someone to get out of his way so he doesn't kill someone. Like that's, I think that needs to, that one got me. Me
too.
I'll do one more and then we'll go to your one to finish off. Steph Curry is now the superstar carrying his team the most.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm buying that.
I'm buying that at the moment. Over like a Luka or a Trey or anyways, I think.
Oh, absolutely. Well, the quick answer is if you look at Luka and what Kyrie are doing, all right, that's more than what he's getting at the moment down at the Warriors. He's doing it all himself. There's something, it's almost sad to say it, but Clay is just looking stuck in the mud, dude.
He's not the same. He looks so slow on defense and like, I think like, and it's so sad because he's one of my favorite players of all time, Clay. And more than that, he's one of my favorite like player styles. I think Prime Clay is, I think, what I want so many kids who want to get into the NBA to watch, where it's like, hey, don't just watch the Jordan Poole who dribbles around watch the guy who learned how to drop 50 without dribbling, because you will find Clay would have fit. You know how we said like Derrick White fits on any team? Clay was the ultimate. There is not an NBA team in history that wouldn't want Prime Clay Thompson. He doesn't need the ball, plays elite defense, is an incredible shooter, can do everything you want around superstars. He was the ultimate role player of his generation, sort of thing. So it's so sad to see him turn into what he is. But like, he's shooting 34% from three at the moment. Like, he just can't. He's not the same.
He just can't get it. He can't get it going at all.
No.
And again, like I said, it's just it's so much sad to see. I watch him and I feel like he's almost resigned to the fact that
he's gone.
I just don't know. Yeah.
Him and Wiggins. And Wiggins off to a terrible start as well. He's shooting 15% from three. Wiggins. He's been a disgrace. Like, I think it really is sad what's happened in Golden State. I saw a stat the other day that 5 times last year, Steph Curry scored twice as many points as the next highest scorer on the Golden State Warriors. So across the whole year, 5 games where he would score like 35, 36, and no one would score more than 18 outside of him. That's already happened 5 times in 11 games for him.
Yeah.
So already 5 times he's more than double. There's been one player, not including the last game they played where he wasn't playing and Clay got injured and stuff. Until that game, only one other player had scored 20 points in a game, and that was Dario Saric. Had scored 20 points in one game. Like, 11 games in, no one had cracked 20. There's like 50 guys averaging 20 in the league at the moment. Yep. The more impressive part was that Clay was averaging like 17 up until that. So somehow he'd very consistently been getting 17 because he never got up to 20. So I don't know how one manages to average 17 and never get 20 points. But like, it is, I think, like, if Steph's not on the Golden State, they would be like the worst team in the West right now. Legitimately, almost. Like, they would be shot without him, I think.
I can't think of any scenario where if he's not there, they're doing well. Wins anywhere.
Like they would be like in the Portland, Memphis sort of category at the moment. Detroit, Washington, like that sort of, that group of teams.
Look, they've had, as we all know, a wonderful dynasty. Okay, so it was always going to come to a halt at some point. It's just, this is now the time. Clay's contract I think that expires this year as well,
Yeah.
obviously. Draymond, there's a lot of money tied up in those players. And so I don't know, man. I love Clay.
I love him.
I love Clay. And I'm sort of shattered to see how it's sort of panning out. He's come back from some pretty bad injuries, and I think, time's just got him now. He just doesn't have it.
Yeah. Like that Golden State team was one of my favorite teams to play. Like it was annoying in the time because you wanted your team to win and you knew there was no hope. But like Steph, Clay, and Draymond, when those three were going together, like it was the most fun offense to watch because like it was so different to like everyone else is just running high pick and roll 50 times a game. And then you have this team that's out here running all these off-ball stuff and they're playing through their power forward and they're running and like it was I genuinely think it was some of the best basketball in the league to watch, and it's sad to see it die down. And I think Clay's just not the same player, and Steph's averaging 30 points a game on elite efficiency, and he's got them to 6-6, and that's literally on his back. Without him, they're like 1-11.
Yep.
At this point,
that's it. Nailed it. It's sad.
Do you have any hot take you want to have us overreact to?
Yeah, let's overreact to this. I reckon the Orlando Magic are making the playoffs.
Ooh,
Hit me with that.
I think I'm buying that. I think I'm buying that. There's something about them.
Yeah, right.
They're very fun.
Come on, talk to me. They look good.
They're fun. I like Orlando. I think I'm buying that. Like,
nice, good one, good contribution. Then I'm happy with that one.
Yeah, I like. They're looking good. Like Paolo Banchero. He's sort of starting to find his form. He was off to a bit of a slower start, but I think he's found his groove. Hit a game winner yesterday over Chicago. They've got some really good pieces, I think
that core group is so young. They stick together, and I just see good things. They just need to keep playing together. Paolo just needs to keep developing. The Wagner brothers, no problem. Cole Anthony. I just like everything that they seem to be doing, and I like the new coach. I just think they're playing pretty good basketball.
That's it. They just play good basketball at this point. It's like there's not really much more about it. And
it's just not flashy. It's just fundamental.
And they've got some guys that I think, like Parlo and France, I think they're legit stars. Like those guys, and they're both the sort of player you want. They're like big-bodied playmakers who can drive. They're not just settling for jumpers. They've got guys that are doing good things. So I think that team's a legit team. They're another team I think would be an interesting, sneaky Zach LaVine watch, because they've got like six guards. Like you got Suggs, Anthony, Fultz, Gary Harris, Anthony Black, Kel. Like you're not going to be able to get minutes to all of them. Like if you were to trade, you could trade like a Suggs and a Fultz or whatever, and get LaVine. Not that expensive without really giving up much. And then you could run...
Taking it, yeah? You're taking that?
If you could run Cole Anthony, Zach LaVine, Franz Wagner, Paolo Banchero, Wendell Carter, like that's actually a good, like, you got some defense, you got some offense. Like, he'd be a perfect fit there, I reckon. I think they're a sneaky Zach LaVine team if he is to go. But I think I'm buying it. I'm buying this Magic team that they're good. Like, I think Paolo Banchero is good. I think Franz Wagner's good. I could definitely see them sneaking in.
I'm happy with that, then. That's great. Good.
Yeah, because I don't buy the Hawks personally. I don't think they're.
I think Trey's a good baller, but he's not a killer, man.
No,
I don't think he's a killer. All right?
I think they got lucky that one year. They went up against the Knicks, who were the Knicks and always choke, and they went up against Philly with Ben Simmons decided he doesn't want to shoot the ball ever. So it's like they got a pretty coasty run to that conference finals. And I think there's always going to be a limit on a Trae Young team. He's a great player, but like there's a bit like a James Harden. There's always going to be a limit on how much you can do, because I don't think he wants to be anything but the number one guy. And it's like you could bring three other players in who are really good, but the ball's still going to run through Trae Young a little bit.
I think the squad's pretty decent.
Oh, they're good,
as we all know, at the Hawks, but it's just not going to happen. I just don't. Yeah, whether it is a Harden thing and he's just happy to be number one and that's it. But you imagine if Trae was at the Mavs and Luka was Atlanta with the pieces he's got at the moment at Atlanta.
Atlanta would be Like that's him and DeJounte Murray, Jalen Johnson is having a fantastic season as well. He's 60% from the field, 46% from three. Like they've got really good pieces around him. I think there is just a limit, and like even with Trey, like I know you don't want to like belt him for this because it's not his fault, but like compared to Luka, I know neither of them play defense, but like Trey's also 5 inches shorter than Luka, and doesn't play defense. Like there's no effort. Like I'll see him play. Like there's just no effort half the time. Like he'll just be like, they could be the last one back on a break, and he won't even like attempt anything. I think it is concerning some of the stuff with him where it's like, it just feels like there's a bit of a ceiling on his the care, but like I could see them dropping.
Just as a bit of an exercise, where do you think if Trae Young had to go anywhere, right, to perfectly complement another team and really get the most out of what he can do, right? Perhaps he's got these, winning attitudes. Where do you think he would be his best? At what team? If it wasn't Atlanta.
Okay, so if he has to go anywhere, I'm just thinking through it in my mind, right? Like,
yeah, just out of curiosity.
Yeah, because like,
not necessarily the rundown, but I just think where would he go?
The first thing would be he'd have to have a bit of a Russ at the Clippers mentality change, where it's like he'd have to sort of buy into, you can't just run 50 pick and rolls a game. You're gonna have to shoot. Yeah. You're gonna have to shoot off the catch. You're gonna have to run off some screens. You have to do some stuff like that. If he could buy into that, first team that came to mind was Minnesota, next to Anthony Edwards, because like Minnesota, you got Edwards, McDaniels, and Gobert as like 3 really good defenders to cover him there. And Trey and Rudy Gobert would be a fantastic pick and roll combo. Like, I think him in Minnesota, that would actually be interesting because, like, if Ant can still have the reins as the guy, then you got Trey who can run pick and roll. You've got good defenders to cover him. You've got good shooters in Ant and McDaniels and stuff. I'd be interested in him in Minnesota. I'm trying to think what about you?
I don't know. I had this thing about Miami.
I was thinking Miami as well. They've also sneakily got up to 7-4 and the 3 seed in the East, just without really doing anything, and no one's really saying anything. But they're just under the radar. I don't know how they do it every single year. Never discount Miami. I need to learn that.
It's just not flashy, but it's seriously effective. And they got to finals last year. They've got some ballers, man. And Tyler Hero again, like he's having a great year. He's really taking it to the next level. So yes, they are. They're always about Miami. And it just annoys me.
Miami would be a great team. Great team for him, I think. Because again, I think the things I want is like I'd love a really good pick and roll center partner for him, because like you want someone that can be that roll man. Bam would be fantastic in that.
Oh my goodness, Bam would be sensational.
You got a decent amount of shooting. You've got great defense around him, sort of similar to Minnesota. Both of those teams, I think he would be a really good fit on. Outside of that, I'm trying to think. Someone like Utah would be fun as well, where it's like you got these guys like this, like Larry Markin and Walker Kessler. Like he would be a perfect like. Because they need someone who can just sort of take that team. They've got a bunch of guys that are going to be great working off of someone else, but someone who can just be like, this is my team. Everyone work with me. I think he'd be fun over there, but I like Miami. If he got to Miami, I think Miami, the Heat culture would be good for him. Learning the Heat culture. Yeah. He'd either have
anyone that can work with Spo, Coach Spo, you're going to get a lot out of it. He's had his hands... I'll reword that. He's dealt with a lot of great players
Pause.
in his time, Coach Spo. Edit, cut. So I think Trey would just be another one who's fortunate enough to be able to work with him and get the most out of it, I reckon,
I think he'd be a great fit. Any last things you want to discuss?
No, I'm pretty good on this side, man. I'm pretty happy with what the Celtics are doing so far.
Yeah.
As we know. What are your thoughts on the Laker boys at the minute? What's going on?
It's
Oh no, head scratcher.
It's a head scratcher. I think there's a part where I'm trying not to overreact. I
need some water, pardon me.
Go for it. I think I'm not going to overreact, but like we're 6-6. There's games where we look like a top team in the league. I'm concerned about how reliant we are on LeBron, though. I think there's a point. That's the thing I'm happy to overreact to is like the Austin Reeves struggling. he's coming off a season with Team USA. That happens all the time when someone comes off a World Cup or an Olympics, that they'll have a slow start to the year because they've played all off season when they normally take a break. So like that, I think he'll get back to his normal form.
Yeah, that's temporary.
That's temporary. I think like Davis, I'm happy with. He's actually been playing fine. There's just too much reliance on LeBron to run the offense still, and I think we do need a true third scorer if we're going to survive come the playoffs, because otherwise LeBron's going to run himself into the ground. It's year 21 and he's having to play like 37 minutes a night, and I think
he was going to get on minute restriction.
Yeah, that lasted a whole game until we realized that we're going to go 0-82 if he's on a minute restriction. It'll also be nice getting a bit of healthy as well. Would be nice because we haven't had Vanderbilt yet, who's been a bit like defense has been our big issue, is point of attack defense, and Vanderbilt's been injured, Vincent's been injured. Like they're our two best point of attack defenders, so getting a bit of health would be nice for this team as well. Like I think Austin Reeves coming off the bench has been good for him. I think that works better. Rui Hachimura has been amazing, but just doesn't get any minutes for whatever reason. Darvin Ham hates him. Torian Prince, Cam Reddish has been a nice surprise as well. He's been fun.
Yeah, Reddish has been decent.
He's actually doing his role. Christian Wood has been an amazing pickup, bought into his role. He's playing defense, which is amazing to see.
I can't believe you got him, man. I can't believe when I remember opening Instagram on the day and seeing the story, and I just thought, you're all kidding me, man. Like that's such a good pace.
No, I think I really want to see us once Vanderbilt's back, because I think we've missed his defense, and I do think we need to make a trade. We were talking about Chicago before blowing it up, but I would love if we could get Caruso back. I know it's being rumored at the moment. Like, if Chicago blow it up, we need someone like a Caruso who's just like too much of our defense relies on just the fact that, we'll let you through to the rim, but once you get there, you'll meet Anthony Davis, and we'll let him like stop everything. He's averaging 3.5 blocks a game, Davis, thus far. And like, he's been amazing defensively, but like that's not healthy how many shots we're allowing at the rim, because no one can stop their man. So I do think a trade is needed, but I don't want to overreact because we're good. We just need, I think, our offense, we're 24th in the league in offense. So we need some more scoring somewhere. D'Lo's been a nice surprise. He's been fine, actually. 48% from the field, 37% from three. Been a good playmaker as well. I think we do need to upgrade though, and I think someone like a Zach LaVine wouldn't be a terrible fit for the Lakers, who can actually just get his own shot. I think he'd work well off LeBron. If we could get Caruso and LaVine, and then you run like Caruso, LaVine, LeBron, someone, Davis, like I think that'd be a fine starting lineup, and I think that would be fun.
Who goes the other way though?
The ones I'm seeing is it'd have to be either D'Angelo Russell or Austin Reeves, and Rui Hachimura probably.
Yeah, okay.
And Gabe Vincent. So that's like Vincent, you basically upgrade him to Caruso. I think that's an upgrade. Then it's like you turn Russell and Hachimura into LaVine, or Reeves and Hachimura into LaVine. So I think we just need someone who's consistent. We need someone who we can actually rely on to score the basketball. And Russell and Hachimura haven't been that thus far, but it'll be interesting. Again, I just like Miami. I think you can't count out LeBron, and that's what I'm relying on. Is if we can actually get to the playoffs, we saw what they can do last year. If LeBron just buys in for a month, we can do crazy things, But never count out Miami. Never count out LeBron. Even if they're the 8th seed, as we found last year, doesn't matter. They're both.
No, well, that's right. Look at Miami on our side of the East.
Yeah,
mate. So,
you guys can do that.
What do you think of Boston at the moment?
They're good.
I need your thoughts as a Lakers.
I'm buying it.
Die hard. Yeah.
Dude, I hate it, but I buy it. Like everything I see, I'm like, I think they can actually be genuinely good, and I wouldn't be surprised if you guys end up winning it all. Like if you can stay, I've said from the start, if your top 6 are healthy, you're winning the banner.
Yeah.
But I think you just need your top 6 healthy, because the depth is a concern for me. That you're 2 injuries away from Sam Hauser starting and Delonte Banton and Svi Mikhailuk getting 20 minutes a game each, and it's like that. I think you need to upgrade the depth at some point, whether through a buyout or a trade somewhere. But like, that's my only concern at the moment. Is like, there's the depth is an issue, but like, so because like I'm like, no team can survive an injury to like their top 2 players. Okay, no one's going to win the title if
No,
they've
that's
lost the top
right.
2.
That's
But
right.
the issue with Boston is like if Milwaukee lose one of their top 6, if they lose like a Bobby Portis or a Malik Beasley or someone, they have other guys that can sort of slide in there. Or if Philly lost someone, they've got that depth that can slide in. Like they can lose a Batum for a month, or they could lose D'Anthony Melton for 3 weeks, whatever, and they've got other guys that can replace him. But like Boston, there's no one who can really replace those like guys 3 to 6 on the depth chart, and that's my only concern. But if you're healthy, there's a reason you're 9-2 and the best team in the league is because that top 6 is lethal, and I buy it. I buy what I'm seeing. Like I don't think it looks like a different team as well. You're attacking the rim more than you were last year. You're getting to the free throw line more. You're like the defense, I think, is phenomenal with Holiday and White and stuff. Like I really buy this team at the moment.
Yeah, I'm putting a lot on Porzingis too.
Yeah.
I just think he creates a lot more headaches than just Rob Will being able to defend and rebound. Basically,
Totally.
He does. He's just doing so much. It's just silly. I loved it the minute he played his first game against the Knicks and dropped 35, probably 15 or whatever it was in the first quarter, and it was just like, okay, I'm happy with that. I see the method behind the madness.
I think there was a point where it's like everyone was like, "Oh, Holiday's going to be that third guy. Is it Brown or Holiday? Like, who's 2, who's 3?" And Kristaps like, "What about me being the second best guy in this team? Like, I'm happy to be." And like, and he's bought in. And he's been phenomenal. And I think if your top 6 are healthy, you're the one team you can afford a guy who's averaging 20 points a game.
Yeah.
To have Tatum could have a really quiet game, and you guys can still win a game in the playoffs because like you've got a heap of other guys that can fill that void if needed. Like,
well, yeah, it's odd to say because I don't even think Jason played overly outstanding yesterday. Instead, like 29.
Exactly.
But Derrick White picked it up and had 26.
You've got guys like Derrick White. Al Horford's going to come in and play amazing defense. You know, you've got the pieces around.
Blocks, he had 5 blocks yesterday. Big Al.
Amazing. He's so good.
They hate him in Philly. They hate him, and I love to see it. I absolutely love to see it. The hate for Al. Oh man, he smashes Embiid. He smashed Giannis that series. He's just a baller.
He's one of the most impressive players at his age. What he does on defense, it's just amazing. Like he still moves so quickly, and he still gets to his spot. He's a fantastic player.
You want to talk about players that buy in and what a team's trying to do. Al's the epitome of that. He does everything that is asked of him and is a proper team player.
And another great example of like looking at it here, he's a 5-time All-Star. You know,
is he really?
He was a 5-time All-Star with Atlanta. He was a great player in Atlanta. He was averaging 18, 17 points a game. Like he was a really good player. And now he's
Atlanta Al was nice.
And now he's completely bought into the fact that it's like, hey, all I'm here to do is play defense and hit corner threes, and he's fine with it. And I think that's the thing that's like with the James Harden or a Russell Westbrook, it's like these guys just come in and like Horford's done that for a while now. Like for like since like it's like he's 37. Well, basically ever since he went to Boston and Philly, he's bought into being like, hey, I'm not going to be an all-star, but I'm just going to be the best defender I can for my team, and I'm going to be a rebounder, and I'm going to be a hustle player, and like. You need those guys who are just willing to buy into their role, and he is the epitome of buying into a role. Yep. Like he's a 5-time All-Star. Like that's like, but there's no way he acts like that. If you know what I mean. Like there's no thought of like, I
you wouldn't even think it.
No.
You wouldn't even think that he was a 5-time All-Star.
Exactly.
You know, I remember him being an All-Star, but
I was surprised when I saw 5-time. I was thinking like 2-time.
Yeah, a couple, maybe 3.
Exactly.
Over 16, 17 year career season, career, but
like DeMar DeRozan is a 6-time All-Star
in comparison.
So like he's only got one less All-Star appearance than DeMar. Like DeMar's obviously younger, but not crazy younger. He's only 3 years younger, DeMar.
Yeah, he's 34 at least.
He's not getting any more, DeMar. So it's not like he's
a free agent this year too. There's actually a lot of free agents. As I said, Chicago need to blow it up, and you know what they need to do?
What?
They need to throw everything at Tyrese Maxey and get him across. Imagine him going to an Eastern rival like that.
That would be
just for some reason. Like he's a free man; he can do what he wants. Imagine him going over to Chicago and being the first piece. I'd do it from a 2K point of view.
You throw the bag at him because like there would be an enticing part of like, hey, you can just be the guy here. You know, Philly's always going to be Embiid's team. You can be the guy if you want.
Lonzo's done. Okay,
That's so sad.
It breaks your heart, right?
Lonzo
Levine's
is
probably going to go.
Lonzo's probably my favorite player in the NBA when Lonzo was healthy. Those like years with Chicago, or the year like that half a year he played with Chicago and his last year with New Orleans. That's like just about my favorite player in the NBA to watch. Like he was so fun to watch. I reckon Lonzo.
Yeah, man.
So sad.
Breaks my heart.
So sad to see him mentioned.
He'll be out the door.
Mhm.
Levine's probably going to go. Do they re-sign DeMar? Who's going to be 35, right? Vuk, they're all finished. I think they're all free agents this year.
Yeah, they've lost.
I'm pretty sure something like that. Actually, no, Levine's not. They can trade for him, but
they're losing DeMar, and I think Vuk has like a 2-year deal or something like that. But it's pretty close to being up. And I think
does he have a 2-year? I thought it was finished. Yeah.
Well, I think it was supposed to be done at the end of this year, but he got an extension for whatever reason. In the off season, they decided to sign him to like a 2-year extension, which like makes no. They just said, hey, why don't we just sign ourselves up to purgatory? Yeah, so he's got 2 more years after this year because it was supposed to be done at the end of this year, but then they signed him to a 2-year, $20 million extension per year, which is just a dumb contract if you ask me.
I don't know, man. I think again they can really.
They need to trade him. They need to blow it up.
Just complete fresh start, man. And it'll start with Tyrese Maxey, man. If I actually want the Bulls to take him, and I want the 76ers to miss out on Tyrese Maxey. That's what I want, but it probably won't happen. I don't know what sort of loyalty he has.
Even looking at this team as well, like obviously DeMar, Levine, like DeMar has to go. You have to trade DeMar, even if it's like 1 pick. Like you have to trade him and get anything you can because he's leaving in the off season.
Just got to get rid of that contract. He's too old.
Get rid of the contract. He's out of contract at the end of the year. Get him out of there. Get something for him. So DeMar's gone. Levine, I think you should trade. Vucevic, you should trade. But even beyond the big three, like there's other guys there that would have actual value to contenders. Like someone like we mentioned before, Alex Caruso. Like he's on a small contract. He's an all NBA, all defensive team player. Like, I could imagine, like, the Lakers would give up a pick to get him. Someone like, Milwaukee would give up whatever they can to get him, or Boston would give up anything they have left to get him. I could see, Denver or, like, I don't think there's a contender that wouldn't say, we'd give up a pick to get a Caruso at this point. Like he would have heaps of value at the moment. Like, there'd be someone that would overpay for a defender like him. Even someone like Torrey Craig, Andre Drummond, Javon Carter, like, these are pieces that own good contracts, and contenders want those sort of pieces. Like, if you blow it up, you can get a lot for even those guys, not even just the big stars. Like, they have enough players there that I think...
Kobe White. Yeah.
Kobe White is another one, Like, I don't know whether Patrick Williams has any value left, but like there's a lot of players on there that I would assume, like, there's guys there that like, if I'm a contender, I'll totally take a Kobe White and take the risk on him and see if I can have him as a 6th man on my title contender if I'm, just like looking at if you're like a... say something like in Indiana and you're like, we're not going to go all in this year. We don't want to trade all the picks, but we could pick up a Kobe White as like a scorer off the bench to give us a bit of a boost in the playoffs. Or, you're a New York, you could be like, we'd go out and get someone needs a backup big man. Andre Drummond, we'll go and pick up Drummond for the playoffs because we've got an injury, whatever. So they need to blow it up, Chicago.
Big time, man. They're so bad to watch.
They are.
It's embarrassing, to be honest. A big brand like that, they are just shocking. Just shocking. I can't watch Bull games anymore.
It should have happened in the off-season. I don't know why it didn't, honestly.
I don't know what they thought.
The moment...
the thought about going, we'll go again with this.
The moment in the off-season that they knew Lonzo was going to be out for the season, that should have been the moment they blew it up. They shouldn't have waited this long, even. Like, they've wasted 12. Like, I don't understand how they even tried to run this team back. Thankfully for their sake, they haven't won too many games, so they're not...
You're right. You hit the nail on the head. When they knew Lonzo was finito, unfortunately, they just thought, let's throw these blueprints out and completely start again now.
Totally.
Instead of another 12 months, man, because it's just not going to happen.
I've got a terrible feeling that I want to look this up. That they knew Lonzo was injured before they gave out the Vucevic contract. I want to look up Lonzo Ball.
Yeah, Google that. Update. I want to know
if there's a chance that happened.
Because it just tells us where they're at. As an organisation, unfortunately.
So he's saying he'll be back for 2024, for next season, but like he's been saying that for a couple of years. But I'm just looking up the orthopedic surgery. I think they were saying. I'm pretty sure. It looks like Lonzo Ball knee update. I'm trying to find find it now. I think, 23rd of June. Brutal update from the vice president. Going into the off season, our expectation is that he's not coming back next season. So they knew going into the off season.
Yep.
So before the off season even started, this was when the playoffs were still on. This is during the Denver-Miami series. And after that, they decided to not trade Lonzo. So they decided to not trade Levine, and they decided to give Vucevic an extension after they knew Lonzo wasn't coming back. That's silly. I don't understand that.
Yep. I don't understand it either, man.
Poverty franchise.
Me and you are not GMs or execs, but we can work it out from here. Why can't they?
Totally. And even we were talking before about Orlando, how good they are. There's a lot of good teams in the East who are going to be competing this year. There weren't any besides the Wizards and the Hornets. No one is going to be bad. Indiana who jumped. Everyone knew Orlando were going to be good. Atlanta, New York, Brooklyn, Cleveland. There's a lot of teams that are trying to do better in the East. So it's it wasn't even if we just stick around, we'll get a 6 seed. No, maybe if you keep this team together, you can get a 10 seed. There was no point in keeping them together, if you ask me.
No. And like you said, man, there's 11 already ahead of the Bulls on the standings that I would take before the Bulls.
Totally.
I'd even take the Hornets for a laugh. I really would.
Even the Pistons. I think the Pistons, if Cade Cunningham really gets it going, and Assault Thompson is the best defensive rookie I've ever seen, what he's doing over there in Detroit. So
See his dunk the other day. On
This-
a day.
he's I don't know what he's a special talent, but Detroit's looking good. So
young and strong.
Other than Washington, there's not really any team that's just really wants to be bad this year. Everyone else sort of wants to start winning, so I think they need to blow it up.
Yep, big time. Be interesting to see what they do.
Plain and simple. Dan, thank you so much for joining today. I won't take any more of your time. This has been a lot of fun. There's been I feel like we got some good overreactions in there today. We got some good picks.
Nah, I'm pretty wrapped. I'm wrapped with my Orlando one.
Yeah.
I just think they're going to do some good stuff, and I was just happy to see you get on board. That could have gone either way.
No,
so,
I can get on board Orlando. I see something there. There's something very special with that team.
Nice. Glad we're in agreement, mate, and I appreciate being on again today, man.
Oh, mate, it's my honor to have you. It's always so much fun talking hoops with you. I feel like we could do this. We need to find a time to do this outside of the podcast. We need to just find a time where we could just chat hoops because it's too much fun. It's too much fun talking NBA.
Long overdue. We should do it.
It's way too easy. To everyone listening or watching, thank you so much for joining us today. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, you can check this podcast out on Spotify and Apple Podcasts at the Fair Dunkem Podcast. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, go check us out on YouTube. You can watch the video. We do this via, it's not Zoom, but it's online, and we film it so you can watch the recording there on YouTube. The YouTube account is at Protecting the Paint. Also, check us out on TikTok and Instagram at Protecting the Paint. Dan, thank you again so much for joining. Go support your Boston Celtics. Go see them continue to rise in the standings. Whenever we have you on next, we'll bookmark it here. You're 9-2. Last time we had you on, the season hadn't started. Now they're 9-2. See how the season continues to ride out with Boston. But I think it's the days ahead look pretty bright.
Right, a couple of things. So we'll have a Boston update. All right, we'll have your Lakers update as well.
Yeah.
But I want to have a James Harden update next time we catch up. Because they're 9-5, 9-6 now.
I think so.
Under his system. So let's see where that system stacks up next time we catch up. It'd be interesting to see. So put that in your diary.
I'm also going to put in the diary. Orlando 6-5, 9 seed. So we'll put that one in there.
Book the magic, man.
Book it.
Book it.
Book a trip.
Just de-book it.
They're set up for for the next bubble playoffs because it's already in Orlando. Get to go to Disney World. They know what they're doing. They're primed for some success.
Smart organisation.
Dan, thank you so much for joining us. To everyone listening.
Good on you, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, mate, my pleasure. To everyone listening, have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Adios.